Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. Welcome back to the Fertility Dietitian podcast. This is episode 40. I cannot believe that. If you're trying to get pregnant and you feel like you're doing all of the things, but you're still having trouble getting your BFP or taking home that healthy baby, please go back and peruse the episodes if you are just tuning in. Hopefully you find some ideas or insight to what might be missing in your fertility journey. Today, we are talking about one of the most overlooked and really misunderstood macronutrients in the fertility world, and it's protein. This is not in the you should just eat more chicken kind of way. I'm going to show you exactly how your protein habits may be quietly sabotaging your hormones and what to do about it starting today. Most of the women I work with are under eating protein, like significantly. And especially if you've been told to eat light, to go plant based, or focus more on carbs and fats for hormone balance, you might be having something like oatmeal and berries for breakfast, maybe a salad for lunch, and a little bit of chicken at dinner. And you're still wondering why you're having fertility challenges. Here's the thing, your body sees low protein as a signal of nutrient scarcity, undernourishment. Okay. What do you think your body does when it senses undernourished and depletion? It downshifts. Okay. Hormones like LH and FSH become suppressed. Ovulation can get delayed or skipped. Egg quality is definitely impacted. So even if you are getting regular ovulation, regular periods, the quality of your egg that you're developing is absolutely impacted by undereating protein as well. And progesterone production tanks, which is a big sign that egg quality has actually decreased. Okay, none of this is ideal for getting you that BFP or helping you get closer to that healthy baby. Okay, I have a quick story for you. And so I had a client, and we'll call her Sarah. She was eating mostly plant based, a lot of veggies, grains, smoothies. She was eating animal protein as well, but she was really struggling with irregular cycles. She had a thin uterine lining. And it wasn't until she increased her animal protein intake, switching to higher quality sources, that her cycles really regulated. And really, it was within 2 months that she actually saw regular ovulation, decrease her PMS symptoms in that luteal phase leading up to her period. And she conceived naturally just one cycle after her cycle regulated. Her ovulation came back and her period symptoms disappeared. So for her, it was a whole lot about protein. And of course, that's not the only piece of the puzzle, but it can make a big difference in what's happening with energy creation in the body, what nutrients you're getting. And of course, things like blood sugar balance really rely on protein. Okay. So eating protein is going to impact fertility in a whole lot of ways, from everything from egg quality to hormone balance and more. All right. So let's unpack the science behind protein a little bit more. So, protein helps with hormones. Okay. The amino acids in your proteins are what your body uses to build hormones or help build hormones, not the only piece of building hormones, but hormones like FSH, LH, estrogen, progesterone all need these amino acids or these protein building blocks. Okay. So if you're not getting enough of those, your hormones are going to struggle in one way or another. Protein is really important for egg quality and development, as I've mentioned as well. Your follicles, which are we have the biggest impact on our follicles with our nutrition and lifestyle about 3 to 4 months before that follicle is going to be ovulated or that egg is going to be ovulated. Okay. Your follicles really need nutrients, all sorts of nutrients, but amino acids, which are from our proteins, and specifically leucine, which is an amino acid found in protein foods. And this leucine is actually necessary to activate the mTOR pathway. Okay. You don't have to remember that or know really more details about this, but your eggs or follicles need fuel. And part of that fuel that they need is the amino acids from protein in order to mature appropriately and be um, optimal quality. Okay. Protein is also really important for thyroid function. Protein helps us convert inactive T4 hormone to active T3 thyroid hormone, which is vital for ovulation and implantation and carrying a baby as well. Okay, so low protein typically means low or dysregulated thyroid hormone activity and stalled fertility. Okay, so like a sub fertility picture. All right, we can't call that infertility because, we know what the issue is there. We just need to support that barrier to support your fertility and improving. Another area that protein is going to be impacting is the uterine lining. You can't build healthy uterine lining without protein. Your lining literally needs amino acids, which are those protein building blocks, to grow thick enough to support implantation. All right. And that lining is actually going to be what nourishes that embryo during those early weeks of pregnancy until the placenta has time to develop and take over nourishment. So not only does it help with a successful implantation, it helps with how nourished your baby will be during those early weeks and rate of success for pregnancy. From there, okay. And then another reason why we want to be focusing on eating enough protein is for blood sugar balance. Skipping protein anytime, but especially starting at breakfast, can lead to hormone craziness throughout the day. So, insulin spikes and crashes, which are really problematic for anybody of reproductive age, but can impact women that do have PCOS or insulin resistance as well. Okay, so protein is not optional, it's really critical for your overall metabolic health and therefore for fertility. Right. So you might be wondering how much protein you actually need. Well, you may have heard that the RDA is 46 grams per day. But I'm going to be blunt. That is very, very bare minimum to avoid disease. Definitely not to optimize fertility or health, right? If you're actively trying to conceive, aiming for 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight is really the target I suggest going for. For most women, that's around 100 grams of protein per day. Okay, and it might be more. It might be closer to like 150 grams, but most often I recommend you're starting at that 100 grams of protein per day because most of the time, the clients that I see are eating maybe 70 grams of protein if they're lucky. So working up to 100 grams is a really good place to start. You don't want to start in at like 150 grams of protein right out the gate because that can make you feel miserable for like really digestive reasons. But your metabolism can shift and adapt to that. So slowly increasing from there, if necessary, can be really helpful. Okay. And it's not just about the number of protein or grams that you're eating. You also want to think about the timing that you're eating the protein. Ideally, you're distributing the protein fairly evenly throughout the day, maybe a little bit more at breakfast time. I can't tell you how many cycles we've rescued just by starting the day with at least 30 grams of protein instead of just a piece of fruit or some oatmeal. Okay. And by the way, your protein needs go up during the luteal phase and early pregnancy. Okay. So your body is building and sustaining life, and we need to prep for that. Okay, so doing it now, preconception time, is definitely going to support what is going to be happening throughout pregnancy as well. All right. So now you might be wondering what sources of protein are best for fertility. So let's talk about quality of protein. Not all protein is created equal. Okay. Here are the best types, or the ones that I recommend that you're focusing on the most. Number one, if you've been following me for a while, this should be of no surprise, but it's animal foods or animal proteins. They are the most bioavailable, which means that it's easier for our body to use the amino acids, so those protein building blocks we talked about, but also to get the vitamins and minerals out of. Okay. Very different than our plant proteins, which actually have. We have a lot harder time using both the amino acids and the nutrients in our plant protein foods. There are actually anti nutrients in plant foods that don't allow us to use and absorb the nutrients from our animal foods in the same way. Okay, it doesn't mean that plant proteins are bad, because we need those for different reasons too, but we really want to prioritize our animal proteins. Okay, so think grass fed beef, pasture raised eggs, wild caught fish, um, pasture raised chicken, all as kind of your staples for protein intake. These are going to be giving you bioavailable iron and B12 and zinc and copper that are all really, really important for egg quality and sperm quality as well. All right, so animal proteins is number one. Number two, eggs, which is also animal protein, but it kind of deserves its own category here. Is making sure that you're eating the whole egg, because the yolk especially is going to be loaded with nutrients like choline, as well as giving you the protein that we really want. We want to think about things like bone broth and collagen, because they also provide you glycine. So these are going to be meat on the bone, slow cooked meats, all supporting uterine lining and digestion and skin health. And also supportive proteins after you're making sure to meet the majority of your intake with the animal proteins, things like eggs, bone broth, collagen. Um, Supportive proteins are going to be plant based proteins, and include things like tofu and quinoa, lentils. Okay, but you always have to remember that those types of proteins are carb heavy. Okay, and they're not as well absorbed. Okay, so prioritizing your animal based proteins, and I would definitely throw dairy into animal based proteins too. Whole fat, organic, grass fed is ideal. Goats' cheeses, sheep's cheeses are also awesome. It doesn't have to be cow's milk, especially if you don't tend to tolerate cow's dairy as well. But cheeses, even starting with aged cheeses, in any of those categories, can be a really great option for boosting protein a little bit, getting some good probiotics and the nutrients that we want from those as well. Okay. All right. So if you are plant based, I highly recommend that you go and listen to my podcast episode, um, all about the risks of a vegetarian diet for fertility, to learn much more about that. But blood sugar balance for everybody is something that we really need to think about as far as balancing that protein to carb intake. Okay. So what can you do now to increase your protein? Here's your plan. Aim for at least 30 grams of protein at breakfast. Okay, and then thereafter, if you can hit that 30 grams, that will continue to be helpful to reach your overall protein goal at meals. If you're having something like oatmeal, add in a scoop of like collagen powder or a complete protein powder. If you do opt for a powder, make sure that it's a good quality one, please. You want to also pair your oatmeal with something like eggs or a breakfast meat. Okay. Additionally, add in high protein snacks like boiled eggs, Greek yogurt, turkey. Um, Making sure that if you're having something like a smoothie, adding protein into that and track your protein intake for a few days. Okay. I'm not a big fan of kind of chronic tracking, but it can be a good tool for checking in to see where you're at and how much more you might need to increase protein intake. Remember, you're prioritizing your animal based proteins for reaching that 100-gram minimum goal. Okay. Most women are really shocked when they track to see how much protein or really how little protein they are eating. All right. So, if you remember anything from this episode, remember this: protein is not just about muscles, although that's important too. It's about messages. Okay. With every bite, you're telling your body something. This is not just protein, this is all food. But protein, if you happen to be under eating it, your body's going to be hearing that it's not safe and it's not ready for pregnancy. But when you nourish your body with plenty of food as a whole, and definitely plenty of protein, your body feels prepared. It has the resources it needs to support hormone health and egg quality and implantation. Okay. So, up your protein game starting today. And if this resonated with you, I encourage you to send it to a friend who's also trying to get pregnant. And if you do share it, make sure you're sending them to my Instagram account as well, where I have tons of free content at the.fertility.dietitian. And of course, as always, if you're ready to dive deeper into your fertility to see how to optimize your fertility, reach out. I'm always excited to work with you on an individual level. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.